most inaccurate thing your kid has ever been taught in school? My 7-year-old daughter, Nora, came home from 2nd grade pale and shaking, clutching her water bottle to her chest like a shield. Mommy, Mr. Dabney said if you crack your knuckles, you'll get arthritis and your fingers will stop working when you're old. I'm a hand and orthopedic surgeon. I've spent 16 years operating on knuckles, joints, tendons, thousands of hands, and the knuckle cracking causes arthritis thing is one of the most stubborn myths out there. Study after study has looked for a link and found none. Sweetheart, that's not true. Cracking your knuckles is just gas bubbles popping in the fluid around your joints. It doesn't cause arthritis. Nora shook her head hard. No way. He showed us a big picture of a hand with the bones all crumbly and red. He said it builds up and up until your hands turn into claws and you can't hold a pencil anymore. I knelt down to her level. Nora, I promise you, that's not how joints work. But she was already crying. He said an old man cracked his knuckles his whole life, and then his hands froze up completely and he couldn't even feed himself. The next morning, I watched my daughter, a kid who used to crack her knuckles absent-mindedly while reading, who thought the little pop was the funniest thing, sit on her hands at breakfast. Are your hands okay? I asked. She nodded stiffly. I am never cracking my knuckles again, ever. At lunch, I got a call from the school nurse. Nora was in her office sobbing. What happened? I asked, already grabbing my keys between cases. I cracked my knuckle by accident when I picked up my milk. She hiccuped. Are my hands going to turn into claws, Mommy? Will I need surgery like the people you fix? That was the last straw. I emailed Mr. Dabney that evening. I'd like to come speak to your class about how joints actually work. When I arrived the next morning, he introduced me as Nora's mom who works at the hospital. 22 second graders stared at me, curious and a little scared. Okay, everyone, who can tell me what happens if you crack your knuckles? You get arthritis, they shouted in unison. Several kids were sitting on their hands. One little boy had his fingers laced together protectively. I pulled up an x-ray on my tablet. This is a real hand. See these spaces between the bones? They're full of a slippery fluid like oil in a hinge. When you stretch the joint, a little bubble pops. That's the sound. That's all it is. A girl in front raised her hand. But Mr. Dabney showed us the crumbly claw picture. That picture wasn't accurate, I said gently. I'm a doctor who fixes hands for a living. In 16 years, I have never once seen knuckle cracking turn someone's hands into claws. There are big studies where scientists checked thousands of people, and the knuckle crackers had no more arthritis than anyone else. One doctor even cracked the knuckles on just one of his hands for 60 years to test it, and both his hands were exactly the same. The room went dead silent. Mr. Dabney's face went red. Well, we tell them that so they won't do it constantly. It's an annoying habit. But now they're terrified of a harmless one, I said. Look at my daughter. She won't even pick up her milk without panicking. I turned back to the class. Has anyone here been scared they wreck their hands by cracking a knuckle? 16 hands shot up. A few kids looked close to tears. My brother cracks his neck, and my mom yells that he's going to be paralyzed, one boy offered. A girl with braids whispered, so if I crack my knuckle by accident, my fingers won't stop working? Your fingers will be perfectly fine, I said. You won't get arthritis, you won't get claws, and you'll be able to draw and write and play for the rest of your life. 22 kids exhaled at once, the biggest collective sigh of relief I've ever heard. Mr. Dabney crossed his arms. But what if they start doing it constantly just to be disruptive? Then you tell them it's distracting in class and ask them to stop, I said. You don't have to convince them their bodies are going to fall apart. Kids believe us. That's exactly why we have to get it right. After class, 4 parents found me in the hallway to thank me. Their kids had been having nightmares about crumbling hands, refusing to hold crayons, one even scared to make a fist. That evening, Nora sat next to me on the couch, picked up her book, and very deliberately, watching my face, cracked one knuckle. Then she grinned. Thanks for saving my hands, Mommy, she said. And everybody else's hands too. She's back to cracking them absent-mindedly while she reads. Honestly, it's the best sound in the house.